Well, what is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video, and we're going to be recapping the Giants versus Bears game, and this one got very, very ugly, especially through the injuries. This one got very, very ugly. Now, I want to quickly go over some positives real quick, right? Let's go over some positives, all right? First of all, the defense looked absolutely stout. They looked great. They started to bend a little bit in that last drive that Chicago had, but I think they had a plan for that, a bend do not break type of method there, and then they held out strong when they got too close. So I think that was a method there, but besides that, I mean, they were stout against the run. Yes, against the pass, they had some boneheaded plays, but guys like James Bradberry, who struggled early, really came on, and he struggled back in Pittsburgh, really came on, had the Giants' first interception in 2020. James Bradberry looked good. Corey Ballentine was not much of a liability as last game, but he did give up a touchdown to some Mooney kid. Who knows who the hell that is? I don't know who that is, but Mooney. Corey Ballentine gave up a touchdown there. And besides that, the Giants defense played really well. The front seven, Blake Martinez all over the place. Leonard Williams stopping the run. Dexter Lawrence doing a great job. Lorenzo Carter had himself a sack. Kyler Fackrell made some great plays and also had himself a sack as well. And Blake Martinez had a sack, I believe. So a lot of great plays happening for the Giants defense. And I'll be honest with you, this completely turned my expectations around. I thought the offense would do well and the defense would need some work, but I did say in the beginning of the season the defense needs to carry this team because they're the ones that need the most help. So, that being said, I mean, let's go out through the game. The game started and the Giants looked bad on their first drive, to say the least, right? They struggled running the ball. Again, it felt like the opposing defenses know how to stop Saquon. They know how to get past that offensive line. But Saquon did, come on, in his final 3 carries where he had 4 carries for 28 yards before he eventually got hurt and tore. And they believe he tore his ACL. That's just a PR team holding it for tomorrow until they announce that he tore his ACL because it wasn't as apparent. But if they fear he tore his ACL and they have to further evaluate it, the next day, he tore his ACL. And the way it looked like, he buckled his knee because, that same movement, that same kind of twist right there, I've seen on plenty different plays, Victor Cruz included. So, that being said, Saquon Barkley's done for the season, so we're going to have to find ourselves another running back. And I want to talk about those 2 defensive plays by Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson apparently does not know when to really attack a football because the first interception that was called back because of it was defensive pass interference. That first interception was not an interception, obviously, the pass interference. So the final play of the game, Golden Tate was called for an offensive PI, which he did not push off whatsoever. Obviously, there was a player that flopped, which I hate that the NFL is turning into the NBA. But a player flopped and was called for the offensive PI, but Eddie Jackson, about 0.5 seconds later, then commits a defensive pass interference, and it's not called. And that call would have had zeros on the clock, but allowed Giants to have one more play from the 1-yard line, first down. And, I mean, the opportunity wasn't taken for the refs. The refs just didn't want to call that play. And maybe the Giants could have scored and won. They needed 1 yard to go after a really good drive. And it seems to be the Giants only have really good drives when they're far back in their end zone. You guys remember that 8.5-minute, 19-play drive last week where Daniel Jones, had that ball intercepted? That play went from, the 5-yard line, 95-yard drive. This one was also another 95-yard drive. So it seems like the farther the Giants are, the farther they go, down the field to score. So, I mean, the special teams game did pretty fine as well. And I'll tell you what, the coaching adjustments out of the half for the defense were insane. I mean, I saw more players Kyler Fackrell, Blake Martinez, Sean Chandler, guys like that, even on special teams, were trying to rip the ball away and try to force a fumble here. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. Logan Ryan was able to force a fumble, couldn't recover it. But yeah, that's 4 players I just mentioned trying to strip the ball away in the second half. So something was told by the Giants defensive staff to try to keep this offense back in the game, and that's the key thing. This defense, unlike last week, where last week they just started to give up and get gassed out because the offense wasn't doing anything. This defense stood in there and gave the offense in a limited amount of opportunities to stay in this game. They lost the game 17-13, losing Saquon Barkley, but the defense stood in it. They shut the offense out. They shut Chicago out in the second half. Okay, and it sucks that we weren't able to capitalize on that. We were actually 10 yards away from doing that with a defensive pass interference that was not called. All right, so there's a lot of positives to take from this game. I don't want everybody overreacting because it's all our emotions, right? It's all our emotions. We're okay. We're okay with saying in the beginning of the season, we're okay with saying the Giants are going to go 0-2 against Pittsburgh and Chicago, but we're not okay when those games actually happen and we fall 0-2. You guys get to understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep you guys in reality here, okay? We are a bad football team. I don't want anybody to come out here and saying we shouldn't have drafted Daniel Jones and it's time to let go of Saquon. And the Saquon argument is starting to get a little bit able to be talked about just because of his injury-prone capabilities, but nobody really expected that to happen. Is Joe Judge the answer? Joe Judge is a rookie head coach who is going to make mistakes, all right? I'm not defending him. I thought the blowing the timeouts, blowing your last timeouts with 3 minutes and 43 seconds left to go in the game, I thought was boneheaded. I thought was very Pat Shurmur-like, very much reminiscent of Week 10 in that Jets game where Pat Shurmur blew his timeouts by like 4 minutes left on the clock, okay? I didn't think that was a good idea. I thought we should have kept at least one timeout to gather our thoughts if we were to drive down the field, which we did, and we could have definitely used that timeout at the end. That being said, there were a lot of boneheaded mistakes from the coaching staff, from the offense. The defense started to give up, started to let up a little bit in the last drive, but. For the most part, it is what it is. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is probably going to be out for this season. Evan Ingram really came on in this game, man. 6 receptions, 65 yards, and every time the Giants needed him and passed the ball underneath, he was able to get that yak. So that's great to see. The wide receivers, this is exactly what I've been saying about the wide receivers before the season started when everybody was saying, KB, calm down. They only kept 5 wide receivers. We'll be okay. Are you sure now? Golden Tate's missed games. Golden Tate missed the game. He was on limited snaps today. He only came in because Sterling Shepard got hurt. So Sterling Shepard got hurt. And you guys saw on the field, CJ Board was great. Damian Ratley dropped 2 passes. Did not catch a pass. Let's see if Damian Ratley caught a pass. 2 targets, 0 yards. They were both drop passes. Do you guys see and understand why now I wanted 6 wide receivers on the roster? By the way, the Giants go into this game with 2 running backs on the roster as Wayne Gallman is a scratch. And then Saquon Barkley gets hurt, and now Dion Lewis is our only hope. Oh, but Eli Penny plays running back. This team needed to get better at team management and preparing for anything that is going to happen. This team has 1 million wide receivers on the practice squad and does not have 1 running back on the practice squad. So what does that mean? We have to go sign a random running back to come in and learn a new offense and try to fill in as a running back by committee along with Dion Lewis and Wayne Gallman. That is now what we have to do. So I'm not even mad that we lost this game. I'm not as mad that we lost this game. But I am upset that we lost Saquon and it seems like there is no hope after that. I'm more upset that we lost Saquon than we lost this game because the running game is going to be putrid. Saquon was the only good thing to this running game. The running game, the run blocking was a little bit better this week. That's because their defensive line wasn't as strong. And we could talk about Andrew Thomas's performance, which was good. It was good. There was one play he led up to Robert Quinn with that was that strip sack. The other play was a Khalil Mack sack, which was on Caden Smith and Andrew Thomas's fault. It looks like Caden Smith was supposed to chip block there, and Andrew Thomas just completely looked the other direction and did not pay attention to Khalil Mack, who was screaming off the edge. As far as Daniel Jones goes, I already know the conversation that are about to be had. That Robert Quinn sack fumble was inexcusable. Okay, Daniel Jones should have two hands on the football when that pocket is claustrophobic the way it was. That was a pocket that you couldn't even step anywhere. And so I don't know why Daniel Jones just didn't tuck the ball in, await the sack, or tuck the ball in, try to run, he tried to throw it. And that's the thing I've noticed about Daniel Jones. If you notice about Eli Manning was too afraid of the pressure and would crumble. Daniel Jones just seems so oblivious to the pressure. See, you usually want a quarterback that has an equal balance of both. That is perfect awareness. It seems like Daniel Jones has less awareness and more focus on throwing the ball downfield. That means he's cool under pressure, right? Daniel Jones is cool under pressure. Eli Manning used to be cool under pressure too until he started getting sacked. I blame Eric Flowers for that. But Eli Manning was so paranoid he would just fall down. Daniel Jones is not like that. He's a fighter, but makes stupid mistakes when doing so. That sack fumble was inexcusable. Andrew Thomas couldn't guard Robert Quinn. Easy. I mean, Robert Quinn just had to poke the ball free. That's how easy it was. Similar to what Lorenzo Carter did back in the scrimmages. So there's a lot of work to this football team. I want everybody to just relax. Like I said last week, relax. All right? This team is not going to win a lot of games this year. And I predicted 7-9. I mean, I think I had us losing to Chicago still. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can go back at my predictions. But this week I had us winning. We still covered the 5.5 point spread. And listen, this defense is a lot better. All right, that's one positive I can get out of this. At least one phase of the ball is good. Three phases of the ball, actually, offense, defense, special teams. The special teams is good and the defense is good. We're waiting on the offense, so we're waiting on the points. But the points given up is a lot better. 26 points this week. 17 points next week. We're middle of the pack right now. And that's all we can ask for from a defense that is growing and learning. So, I'm still staying positive. I'm still going to stay positive, but I'm not going to sit here and just throw everything out and say Joe Judge needs to be fired and Dave Gettleman needs to go. You should have expected this. If you're out here, had your high hopes up and think we're going to win every single game of the season, that's your problem. So, that being said, it is depressing. You know, I have to watch these rest of the games knowing that my Giants lost. But we're going to go into next week. San Francisco, I don't want to hear anybody saying we're going to win against San Francisco. If it happens, it happens. But let's stay real. We're not beating San Francisco. All right? Let's keep that in our heads because you're in for major disappointment next week if you think we're going to win the game against San Francisco. They had like 200 yards on the ground. All right? With speed backs. Mostert, Coleman. All right? And I forgot the other running back they got. Jerick McKinnon. Each had like probably a combined total of like 20 carries. All right, Jerick McKinnon had like 3 carries for 77 yards. I think Mostert had like 5 carries or something like that for like 92, or like 13 carries for 92 or something like that. Very low amount. So they're a good running team. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. We may be facing Nick Mullins. Who knows? But that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Not much to talk about in the game, and as far as storylines go, what happened, whatever. But Graham Gano is good. Even though he missed a kick, Graham Gano's still good. So I don't want anybody saying we should have cut Graham Gano. So that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Woo.